Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Burek. I am an astrologer and a psychic intuitive, and I have been communicating with the vibration referred to in the Bible as the Holy Spirit. I refer to him now as Metatron since I was a baby. I channeled the council, and I first came to be on the planet Arcturus. I'm Arcturian. So I just want to welcome all of my new subscribers and thank you to all of you who sent emails and left encouraging comments after the last video. I appreciate it. Of course, lost people, but that's okay. Weren't mine to begin with, so I'm okay with that. And I have to speak the truth. So I just want to be clear with everyone because of a comment that came onto the group page last night, that especially because a lot of times, like controversial subjects like vaccines, I don't like relish the idea of bringing that into a video. And so when I'm speaking, Metatron is always to my right in front of me, and you could see that with the orb. I think that was the video before last. It came on the right because that's where he is. And if he mentions something to me about like science and progress and the virus, like the side effects, one of them of the pandemic being that there are new innovative ways to tailor medicine for an individual because of DNA, like to that specific person's DNA, that is Metatron talking to me. So, you can take that up with him, but I'm not going to debate whether or not he said that. Because, like I said, he didn't say it to me beforehand, but when I hear him, because typically I hear him, but when he says something like verbally, like out loud for me to say, it's important that I pass that on. And he does that throughout videos about non-controversial issues as well. So, I am going to address it because I said that I would. So I am speaking to, I believe it's Pfizer that is doing the two doses of the vaccine. And I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm not a medical professional. But I was asked by several of you about the vaccine, and a teacher of mine, a former teacher of mine, had a relative who had her first dose of it. And so she asked me, what do you see? Because she was worried about it. And all that I saw was that it was weak. I didn't know, I should say, what I was looking at, like which vaccine. But I asked, is this the one that requires two doses? And she said yes. So I assume that that's why I saw it as weak. I didn't see it as dangerous. I have seen some that are not being given in the United States that I wouldn't take. I've known for a while that probably 3 or 4 years from now, I don't know if it means what I was seeing is, maybe there is a vaccine that is safe, that is, covers all of the different variants of the virus in 3 or 4 years, or it comes down to like the same thing that we look at, like the common cold kind of thing. I can't speak to that. I'm saying for myself personally, I've always known that I wouldn't participate in this one. And that's just, me personally, but I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm going to share with you is that when I saw that one that requires two doses, that there was not anything harmful. It just looked to be weak. Not to say that it won't accomplish anything as far as keeping someone safe, but it definitely didn't look dangerous at all. But I know there are different kinds, and I'm not really up on all of that because I already know that that's not going to affect me either way because I won't be taking it the first time around. And I know that we've been exposed more than once. And when I say we, I'm talking about my daughter who has low immunity. We've both been exposed. She's had much more exposure than I have, and not much came of it. So I've never felt like worried about it, but I'm not in what is classified as a high risk category either. So that's something that, every individual needs to make a choice, but this will not be debated in the comments on the YouTube, under the YouTube video. I'm not going to have a vaccine argument going on there, which is, that's why I don't want to bring it up, because I know that it's a hot button for some people. So, but, if you're coming from fear with anything or misinformation, it's always important to take a look at the facts, the scientific facts, see what the scientists have to say, and go from there. I wanted to make sure that this went out. This is Monday night. It's about 9 o'clock at night here. I still have work to do, but I just had a lot during the day. It wasn't a good time for me to make a video. So this will come out on Tuesday, on the 19th. I wanted it to be up before the inauguration on Wednesday. I, have shared, I think I actually did post in a comment on my personal page on Facebook that I had seen a piece of the vision that I left out. And, I didn't think that would serve a purpose to share that. So I'm not going to share the entire, every single thing that I saw, but I think that it's important for us to pray, to ask the angels for assistance in promoting safety, and that any plots in the shadow be brought to the light, and for our leaders of all of the parties, that this can be a time of peace, and just really for all of us who live in reality and who believe facts, to just allow the people who are not going to be convinced that this election wasn't stolen, that isn't going to end this week. So we're going to continue in this tumultuous energy. We are having our Pluto return. And that's what happens. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be going on for a few years. And aside from the United States, Pluto is wrapping up his journey through Capricorn. And so a lot of governments are going to have significant shifts and changes. I know the Dutch government just went through a shakeup. So, just be aware that we're not finished with Pluto in Capricorn. It was just Saturn that left after his trip through there. But, now he's in his other sign of Aquarius too. So that helps to facilitate that change. But Metatron asked me to remind everyone that of the card that we talked about in the last video, Thanos. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I don't know how Kim Krantz pronounces that. But, we're entering the underworld. We're all doing that collectively on an individual level. And what, as above, so below, as within, so without. What's happening in the microcosmic within our heart is also taking place in the collective. I think it's important to remember that as we go through this powerful time of shifts and transformations, that it is also a time of awakening. And so, hopefully when people who have been drawn in to the cult see that there is no evidence that these arrests that are supposed to be taking place are not taking place, hopefully some of them will return to critical thinking and make a shift that, recognize that they've been deceived. Just to be in a place of state of grace is what Metatron is saying, and accepting and welcoming of them without judgment. No one ever likes to be told, I told you so. And so, just people that we know individually, just having grace for them and understanding and compassion for them, and from he's saying the ordeal that they've experienced with having becoming like dragged into these things and susceptible to these energies. Because when I look at like one of the readers, and I don't know her name, but she's completely gone. Um, Over. So, and then some of them know that they're lying too. There's two, three. I don't know why they're showing me two, three, but two or three, I should say. But there's two or three that know very well that they're lying on YouTube. And, that's their soul's journey. Nothing, no judgment. That's just the fact. But I also wanted to mention for all of you who I speak to who have my phone number, please not to text me. I don't save your phone numbers. I don't know who the texts are from. I had to block someone. Really, respect boundaries with other people. And we're all going through that right now because of Neptune, who has no boundaries, in a square to the nodes of fate. There's a lot of symptoms, let's say, of that transit. And one of them is to ensure that we are building safe boundaries of trust with those in our lives, and recognizing he's saying that those that we come to find are unworthy of our trust, showing ourselves the door, showing them the door. And that is a lot of the astrology that we're going into right now. So when this is uploaded on the 19th of January, Vesta, which in your chart, Vesta always represents somewhere that you've made a commitment. And typically it's a commitment where we're making a sacrifice. That Vesta is going to move retrograde, and she is in a trine, so a harmonious flow of energy to Pluto. Pluto, who is still coming out of now, but still in that energy of a square to Eris. He is saying the radical divine feminine archetype that really wants a shift and a change, no matter the cost. And she also fights for equality for everyone, for all of us, but also between male and female. And it's interesting to see what some people still believe is a man, what it means to be a man is grabbing a woman by the crotch and shoving your tongue down her throat. Um, Most of us are not in that place, but apparently it doesn't bother some people. That's still a man to them. And so we're moving away from that, the old patriarchal story, and coming into a time of respecting one another's opinions and accepting and loving one another. And that happens for humanity when it's done individually, when everybody comes into that place of loving and respecting themselves. One of you had commented that you thought that 2021 was about the physical body. Absolutely correct. That was why he focused so much on that in the video that I talked about what's going to happen in 2021. And, letting yourself see that you're important to yourself and treating yourself as if you're important. And really the only way, it's great, energetically to do that and to do that with our thoughts, but the physical body, it craves love and attention. And so when we feed the physical body the love and attention, it raises our entire vibration. After I came to my moment of complete clarity, was not even like recognize the illusion for what it was, and everything just sort of, Metatron is saying the scales fell from my eyes, is really, it was amazing. And I I'll tell you that the first thing that you say is, wow, that was cool, I'm gonna do that again. And I realized as soon as it happened that I had done it before too, and that we don't, it's this myth about like, oh, we're done, and then we go up there and sit in our little kingdoms. Doesn't really happen that way, because that's not what you want to experience truly. It isn't what your soul is after. Your soul already has all of the answers to all of the questions. It wants to have the physical experience of it and coming to that place of awakening. But after I don't know how many weeks had gone by, I saw a vision. My higher self showed me her, And she was a famous character, but I don't think I'm going to say who it was because people will take it the wrong way. But it was sort of a joke for me. But she was showing me that she was like up on a sort of platform. It was actually she was like inside a home with a patio door that was wide open. And she was above me, but I was like in the mud. And she was trying to show me that she couldn't fully come to be and shine like through me because I didn't have time for playtime and I wasn't caring for my physical body and giving time and attention to my physical body as I should have. It's not possible to hold the vibration of the light body all like 24/7. That's the way you live. Like I believe like Ram Dass, I believe that Eckhart Tolle, I believe that they are always in that vibration. But in order to do that, we need to take care of the physical body too, because if it's lacking something or it's being fed something that causes it to feel depressed, then that just creates disharmony and there's no alignment. Then doesn't mean that there's anything wrong, that you've done anything wrong, or that I was doing anything wrong. It's just the way that it is. And so, yeah, that is going to be the focus of 2021 is ourself. Turning inward is what he's talking about. So we're moving through these energies, and I was going to go through the aspects, but to be honest with you, from now until the time of the full moon in Leo, we don't really have a lot to talk about, with the exception of the Mars Uranus, conjunction. They're coming together in Taurus at 6 degrees of Taurus. And so, whatever you have there, whatever planets are from, let's say, like about between 2 and 3 degrees of any sign, up to like 9, 10 of any sign, is feeling that. So I don't know how that's manifesting for you. I saw a post by another astrologer today, and it's my experience too. I fell asleep at 4 a.m. last night. At 2 a.m., I was like 2 hours past the valerian dose, and I was wide awake still. And so I was texting with a friend in another time zone, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to pour a glass of wine. And my body isn't so thrilled with that because there's something in wine that also bothers me. But I had last night because I needed to sleep at some time. So because of what's happening with my planets in that collision, how close it is to my ascendant. So if you are having a hard time sleeping, which is what I was seeing in other posts on Facebook, then, that could be what it is. Also, Neptune squaring the nodes of fate makes us extra sleepy. It's good for like coming into attunement, like getting a brush. What are you saying? Like enhancing psychic gifts, intuitive abilities. But like as far as seeing the path and exactly what's going to play out for the future, it's still a bit foggy there. There's still adjustments being made. And so, but it does make us tired too. And whenever the astrology is like that, it's time to rest. It just is. It's time for us to be at home, be resting, and be focusing on ourselves. So, as far as the Mars Uranus conjunction, we're already very much in that energy. They come to their exact, and then once they become exact, it actually you'll feel a lot of relief on the 20th, on the day of the inauguration. So, we know that could be, because it's in Taurus, I don't see it as such an explosive energy, but we still have like the asteroid chaos in the chart of the United States. No, the asteroid chaos in the sky is on one side of the Mars of the United States, and the North Node is still within range of Mars. So, we're not out of the woods yet by far, is what he's just said, by far. And this could continue to play out for a significant amount of time, because so many people are convinced that there was, um, he's saying tomfoolery, of which I don't like that expression. I don't know why he said that. But yeah, that people don't believe that the election was legitimate. So, that just be aware that that's going to continue. And depending on the megaphone that the person leaving has, could, become something else that we may need to address. Now, when I talked about before the election, when I said that the Democratic nominee was going to win by a small margin, I said that it looked like he was in the person leaving was in a position of leadership. Where his sun falls is conjunct the midheaven, and which is like the height of your sky, how you're seen in the world. And it's in the 10th house, and it's in Gemini. So he may just have a megaphone kind of energy. So we'll see. Or he could run a media conglomerate too. We'll see. So yeah, that's just some things going forward that I wanted to mention. So when I was talking about what's happening from now until we come up to that full moon in Leo, which happens on the 28th for most of us. It's the 29th in Sydney. But as we're moving through that energy, keep in mind that there are a lot of contacts, not like big contacts, but that Chiron is being affected in this energy too. And Chiron isn't just the wound. Chiron is also divine inspiration. It plays a big role in the charts of soulmates, soul family members, just even, your relatives. So, it's not all like sadness and dreariness with Chiron. Chiron is divine inspiration too. It's like that, the I am presence within us. And, we're looking at a full moon in the sign of Leo, which is about fun, playing, going back to remembering what you loved as a child. What was it that made your heart sing? Feeling like you did as a child. He's pointing to the teenage years when we were filled with hope for the future and looking forward to the freedom that we would have as an adult. And then, remembering that we are actually the ones in charge. When Vesta, in the chart, it's like we've made a commitment a lot of times to something that sucks the life out of us, that takes away the passion and makes us believe that we are here like to fulfill some kind of drudgery, like we have to do this. We're responsible for these people. We have so many responsibilities that can rob us of our joy. So, really keeping the focus on tuning in to the inner child, remembering the inner sanctum is what he is saying. And he's bringing that up a lot just for me, in these times too, because it is so volatile. And I've been telling people for probably 6-8 months how bad it feels in the United States. A lot of times, and they, I remember one client was Canadian, and she was saying, oh yeah, and it's true, it's there too. But, now this is like where you're in public and you're afraid to say certain things, which shouldn't be controversial, but everything is controversial right now, is what it seems like. And so, really keeping to ourselves, focusing on ourselves. He is talking about the budding fire, allowing passion to ignite within, in the inner sanctum, coming back to feelings of hope for the future and what we could do aside from our responsibilities if we could choose whatever it would be. Whenever you do that with yourself, like when you sit and think of like, what would I create if I could create anything? When you have then thoughts that come in like, well, what about this person? What about this person? That's a wound, or that's an obligation that needs to be released. The subconscious is always talking to us. It's not always telling us the truth, but it gives us clues about what's happening, and why that subconscious pattern is blocking, which one is blocking. I remember being in a class once where we did an exercise where we imagined ourselves at the pinnacle of success and the closest relationships that we have, that those people were around us, and you were like gauging what is their reaction. That will help you to find out what could be blocking your way. Do you know what I mean? Like if someone is not going to be happy for you because they're jealous or they're going to want your money. All of those things are in the subconscious. They're stopping what's going on. And anytime that we're blocked, it's never something from the outside. It could be too, and he was talking a lot about, while we were talking about the video, about divine timing and moving beyond time and space, holding a vision for the future. And like that saying that, never allow how long something will take to manifest to stop us, because time is going to pass either way. Best to do it when we're doing something that we find fulfilling for ourselves, right? And not just fulfilling obligations and responsibilities to everyone around us. So this is the chart, and I'm going to tell you too that it's at 9 degrees and 5 minutes of Leo. And so anything you have from like 4 or 5 to, let's say, like 13, 15, is going to feel this full moon. The moon in Leo then, and the sun is in Aquarius, and the sun is with Jupiter in Aquarius. And Jupiter, whatever Jupiter is next to, is magnified and made larger. Jupiter is the biggest guy that we have out there. And whatever planet, like in our own charts, and whenever he's moving through the zodiac, when he is aspecting something, he is bringing attention to that energy. And so because full moons are a time of fruition and inspiration, and also he was linking it to habits and addictive habits that have been transferred, he's saying, from the ancestors. And so because full moons are a releasing time, you could glean some information. Like you might think of like, oh, what's that? I mean, in my family, everybody smokes. My parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, my one grandfather started when he was 8 years old. It was definitely an ancestral pattern. And I've gone back to when it was as a medicine woman, as, shaman, that was picked up. In a lot of cultures and societies back in the day, it was a sign of wealth to be able to afford tobacco. So that's, just letting you know that there's a history, there's a reason why that's staying, that isn't finished. And it's always because we feel disconnected, we feel uninspired, we feel like we had no choice because we're laden with responsibilities, he's saying, instead of possibilities. And, it's like the inner child, especially if we grew up in a strict background or with somebody who is really critical, who we could never do anything right for. It's like a way to get away with something, right? Whatever it is, if it's smoking, drinking, or sugar is a huge one. That's like our first addiction. I remember my mom telling me that the first Valentine's Day, or it must have been second, and I can remember this so clearly. I was just over a year. I was like a year and 4 months about. And my dad had brought home one of those giant hearts filled with chocolates, and I pulled it off of the counter and it tipped over and the chocolates went all over, and my mom said that I was on all fours shoving the chocolates into my mouth as quickly as I could. So sugar right now is a huge thing for people, and that lends to the physical body and making sure that our blood sugar levels are good, are taken care of too. And that's shown like with your Venus. It's shown a lot of different ways in your chart if you're like predisposed to blood sugar issues. But that's one of the things that he's also talking about, how that links with the heart and blood pressure too. It does increase blood pressure. I don't know if that was for one of you specifically, but in the chart of the full moon, Venus is with Pluto. So we're going through this month where we just had a new moon that began with that Thanos energy, going into the underworld. You know, we're starting to take that journey into the underworld, and now here's Venus again, the moon being one of the archetypes of the divine feminine, like a representation of the divine feminine, and Venus as well, the goddess. She is with Pluto too. And so, and that can be sugar too. Venus is sugar too. So, and anything with diet, really, anything that we ingest, put into the physical body. And so, you know, really watching that, maybe, you know, releasing it and just cutting back a little bit. But really, it is inspiring. I mean, so if you look at the chart here, you can see up next to the number 9, there's the planet Uranus. Black moon Lilith is with Mars. Saint Michael is with them. They're squaring the moon. The moon is next to Heimdall, which means the guard of the bridge between heaven and earth. And I've always used that in my sessions. Metatron had me use that as a representation of the vibration of Archangel Metatron's energy, the higher self. And notice that it's retrograde. So it's something, when the moon also links with the past. So, you know, it could be that it's the father's line, but then Venus is right there with Pluto. And so not necessarily the father's line. Saturn also is not so close to Jupiter and the sun, but he's in that mix as well. And he is one of the rulers of Aquarius. So that square tells me that we're releasing something from like a false story that we were sold about what we're really worth. And also, you know, reconnecting to, he's saying, values and priorities that we set out with when we were kids, when we decided, like, okay, now I have this life to live. I'm going to go out and do something that makes me happy. Really trying to recapture that energy. You can do that too. You can send yourself back and feel the way that that felt and allow that to come back in. But so much of this, honestly, is linked with partners. And that can be your boss, your coworkers, your romantic partner, your siblings, your kids, anybody who you partner with in some way, the parents, you know, really allowing dead relationships, he's saying, to fall away. You know, nobody is responsible for anyone else, and you could be holding somebody back and not allowing them to reach what they would like to in this lifetime because they're also dragging around the dead relationship. So the symbol for, we look at the sun when anything takes place in Leo, sun is at home in Leo. So the sun will be at 9 degrees of Aquarius, and with the symbols you use the following degree, like what the planet is moving toward. The 9th degree would be what's called the karmic degree, and then the 10th would be what we're moving toward. So the Sabian symbol is a person who had time to become, a person who had for a time become the embodiment of an ideal is made to recognize that as a person, they are not this ideal. So kind of like when we, like I said, we set out, we embark on this journey of adulthood, and we are going to accomplish this and this and this. And this is what we'd like to do and how we'd like to live. And then finding out, like, wait, this isn't where I thought I would be. This isn't how I would be feeling. I'm not fulfilled in this. And then that's going to be reflected in some partner. You know, whenever we see, it's just like the light in you recognizes the light in me, the shadow in us recognizes the shadow in another. So that's why, you know, once you come to that point, it's so easy just to not be offended. Part of this whole, what's going on with the nodes, with Neptune too, is recognizing that what you see in other people that you love and value is within you, and also what you dislike about other people, especially if it just keeps coming back to you. then that's actually your story, and this is just how you're recognizing it, is through this soulmate or whoever the mirror is for you. So the omega symbol is a mechanical man is smiling and nodding yes. Everything in reality is here because someone said yes to it, which is what this degree realizes. And so it's about recognizing that you don't have to always say yes. Remember, he's talked about 2021 when we get a backbone and we learn to say no to people. I had something play out about that yesterday. So, yeah, definitely that's going to be coming up. And the Chandra symbol is a black raven with a bright red head. This degree has clear perceptions about what needs to be done, what needs to come about. It senses the urgings of spirit and is willing to do whatever it has to allow the force of evolution to express itself. So often the future is resisted because it seems dark and foreboding. But the energy of this degree says, let's get on with it, and can always figure out a way to do so, no matter how stuck or deeply rutted the situation has become. The seed degree, which I'm going to read because it pertains to family patterns and programs. It's Cancer, the 29th degree of Cancer, and it's a falling leaf gets caught in a spider's web. Realizing where we are stuck, we are then able to free ourselves from those energies we have unconsciously given our assent to. And that is going to be a habit, some kind of addiction. It can even be television or like the need to know, where we are watching everybody who is telling us the future on YouTube. So, just be aware that that's what's going to be coming up. And it's not about beating ourselves up. We've moved past religious paradigm, so nobody outside of us is faulting us in any way. They're ever patient, ever loving, ever kind, is what Metatron is saying. And he is reminding me now of that they look at us as like they're the wise old teachers and we're the children. And so allowing ourselves to feel, he's saying, bathed in their care and their love for us. And that the universe is always expressing itself to us. Once you recognize through signs that the universe is talking to you, it really doesn't stop. It just keeps talking to you. It wants, he's saying, source longs for a relationship with you. Your soul loves to bring you messages, loves to see you smile. And don't be afraid to ask for that on those days where, it's feeling really heavy. Because it is. It's not an easy thing. Going into the underworld is not a picnic every day, right? Doesn't mean every day is down in the dumps, but there are times that it gets to us. And it's okay to feel that way, especially right now. A lot of people are struggling with isolation and feelings of being alone and misunderstood. He's linking it back to the inner child, where, there's that part of us that is still in darkness, which means sadness. It doesn't mean evil, that believes that they're all alone and misunderstood. And so really loving that part of you and programming yourself with different words, the same words that you would say to a sweet little child who's lost. And, what would you say to make them feel better? And he's saying a pick-me-up, coming through to some self-affirmations that lift your vibration. And also with food, because really, with my thing with starch, it started years before it became apparent that I could not digest it, and my pancreas wasn't able to process it. But years before that, I had an angel reading in a class, and the girl said to me, your body doesn't like something that you're eating, and it's affecting your mental health. And yeah, sure enough, anytime that I have a little bit of starch now, and I think like, oh, this is okay. I mean, what happens to the physical body is really not fun, but mentally, I get really agitated and I feel angry. So, the gut brain connection is real. So really, and he's been bringing this up in sessions this week too, being conscious of how your body responds to what it's fed, and then conscious eating. Because a lot of times, and I think especially right now when things have become a lot less formal, we're eating in front of the TV, and we're not really thinking about what we're putting into our mouth. And I know that I do that too. So he asked me to read, this is also from Kim Krantz, The Wild Unknown Archetype. And this is the vision. So I'll let you guys look at this. It is said that we are each born with a unique vision, a destiny toward which we are aimed. It is also said that we forget this vision the moment we are born. Thus, we are sent on a lifelong journey of rediscovery. Such is the elusive nature of the vision. It slips away, yet it guides. It appears in strange dreams and surreal images, seemingly unattainable and preposterous. When we are connected to the vision, we feel inspired, enchanted aliveness that others recognize within us. We trust the world and its synchronicities. We walk through new doors into wondrous opportunities. We all want to be near those with vision. They emit energy more potent than any elixir. When we lose connection to the vision, life becomes dull and exhausting, lacking meaning. Bring back the mystery. Bring back the dreams. Also, you can gauge how connected you are to your vision by how tired you are, since the vision feeds us energy. It affects our life force and vitality. So really just, trust and believe that with this full moon energy, you'll be getting message. The sun is the ego, and it's also the soul. Every planet has the dichotomy and the higher and the lower vibration. Really trust and believe that you're going to come to a place of inspiration. Allow your soul to bring you those messages of inspiration, and trust that your soul has the best intentions for you. I wanted to mention the time. I'm sorry. It's 7:16 p.m. in the UK on the 28th, 1:16 Central Standard Time for our hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere, and 6:16 a.m. in Sydney on the 29th. So I will be back next week. Last week I thought I would make a video, and he told me that I had other things to do that day. So I will be back next week. I know this is not an easy journey, and we'll see what plays out on Wednesday. I will say that a couple of nights ago, unsolicited, Metatron came to me and gave me a message of reassurance, meaning that he said, trust that you're taken care of and that you're safe and that all is going to work out for the best. And I didn't think that was not as for me specifically. So, take that the way that you will. But I had a feeling that moving through April that, we're going to be in this energy too. So anyway, everybody, I'm sending all of you so much love. Thank you so much for being with me. I enjoy spending time with all of you. And again, thanks to you guys for everybody who likes and comments and subscribes. I had like 40 something dislikes on the last video, and YouTube doesn't measure that way. It's so silly because YouTube looks at the attention that the video gets. It doesn't look at like, oh, don't put out that video, they got thumbs down. So if when people do that, it's like, okay, that helps me out, but whatever. Anyway, guys, sending you guys so much love, and I hope that you found this helpful. Take care.